Now, from the title of this video, you're probably thinking the following. What qualifies this bloke to give some level of social media marketing advice? Well, I've got two responses to that. Number one, I have a marketing degree from UTS, which pretty much means shit all, so you can just disregard that. And the second reason being is that if I look over my social media profile, specifically my Instagram, and that's going to be the focus on today's topic. After doing a bit of research, I would say that I've probably overtaken most South Asian wedding and portrait photographers across Sydney and Australia as far as following goes. Now, by all means, that's not a flex at all. Look, I really genuinely don't think numbers are the be all and end all when it comes to success or business entrepreneurship in terms of, generating a clientele and making an income and having that as sort of a main stable line of career. However, there is an underlying level of conversion that one must consider when it comes to higher following. I think there is an element where it does lead to a large number of bookings and people know who you generally are. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about my marketing strategy, in particular to Instagram, and how it is that it led me to get to the numbers that it is today. And I'm not saying that it's like the highest. I definitely know a lot of other brands in Sydney, Australia, and across the world who are absolutely killing it. But for me, this really, really worked. And, if you like what I'm doing on my social feed, then maybe this video is for you. I can almost guarantee you that 90% of vendors in Sydney won't even watch this video, and therefore I'm totally cool with being completely transparent and honest about it. And whether there are some who are watching this, then cool, this is just my opinion. So yeah, I hope you guys don't take it to heart or personally or disagree with whatever I have to say. And even if you do, that's totally okay. I really don't care. The first thing is you just want to have good quality content, period. Nothing else grabs more attention than having a piece of content that just stands out, maybe is different, is great quality, you put in a lot of thought, and is basically what after doing some level of extensive research, what your customers or ideal target market wants to see, whether you're a makeup artist, a clothing vendor, a photographer, or any other creative from any other industry, doesn't really matter. You want to put out respectively good creative content. The second thing is consistency. Now, I've definitely been trying to be consistent, especially during a pandemic, but it is tough. So I can understand that people are having, a lot of challenges around this, but that feeling when you see, a lot of different brands and, small businesses establish and, they make an announcement and a launch on social media, and it's like, oh, I've just created something. And for the first couple of weeks, you keep an eye on it because it's so new and it's so fresh in your mind. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's just silent. You don't see anything, you don't feel anything, you don't read anything, there's just nothing. And it's because most people just drop off on the consistency. Now, I can understand around a pandemic, it is hard to create content, but that's why I've also shifted from content creation to now documentation, which I'll talk about in a bit, and also leading that space in education, which is just as valuable. But initially when I did start, I established the business around a time where other businesses were also thriving and they just had started out. Did I think that they were as consistent as I was? Realistically, one, I actually didn't pay attention, but two, the ones that actually stood out to me were the ones who were just putting out great value content week in and week out, and they were consistent with it. I'm sure we can all think of brands who have started, and then if we look back and reflect about, I wonder what they're doing with it, and we could probably think about the fact that, it's actually nothing because they stopped. Or you just don't even know because maybe they are rolling and still doing, but they haven't really put out consistency in terms of their content. So I would say part of the biggest downfall that I've seen a lot of small entrepreneurs or just businesses who establish themselves is that they just aren't consistent with their content. And one of the ways in which you want people to notice you is to be consistent with your output. Have your message branding that's the same and always keep putting out that same level of content and try not to deter from that. And if you are, and you find yourself just having this lull period, then really think about what other ways you could be, creative within this space to put out content that might engage your audience. Another thing that's worked really, really well for me is every time I've posted content, I usually spend about 30 to 45 minutes just engaging with it. The algorithm on the Instagram page, I'm not going to get too much into the technicals, are really great when they, you post content. And so it wants to really push that. And it also helps if you are actively communicating with your audience. So what I'll do specifically is I'll post a content on my photography page, and then I'll also post a story on my personal page. Some people might comment, I'll also comment back. If I get DMs, I'll have a conversation with people who have DM'd me. The biggest thing I see all the time is people just, post and then forget. They don't really engage beyond that. I think part of the reason why I've grown to the level that I have, and I'm not saying it's the most amazing part, for me, I'm super proud of, but part of the reason I feel like it's gotten there is because I really like to engage with my audience. For me, it's never really just about posting a photo and then forgetting it. It's always about posting it, having a communication point around it, or posting a question on my Insta story. Or when it's about making YouTube videos like this, it's actually taking out my time and reading the comments and actually replying to each and every one of them, which till date I try not to forget to do. I think it's super important, and people always undervalue that. I feel like there's an element where people just don't really give as much importance to having that level of engagement and feedback and communication with their audience. And think about it, like how many brands do we really admire? You know, like I love, you know, Sabyasachi. I love Tarun Kiwal, the photographer behind that brand. If I were to comment on one of his posts, like, would I probably receive a comment back? I don't think so. I really wouldn't. But would it mean the world to me if he actually replied? 100%, because it's someone that I really admire, someone that I look up to within the industry, someone who I aspire to almost be like, and at the same time, it's like, oh, well, they acknowledge my presence. So if you're a small or big business watching this video, one, thank you. But two, try and engage with your audience a little bit more. Like, just go back into the comment section, or DM someone back, or reply on your YouTube video, or say thank you to people who have like sent emojis in your Insta story, or just send them some level of gratitude from your end. Trust me, it really, really does go a long way. Okay, now here by far is the ultimate branding secret, the ultimate strategy, the holy grail of Instagram, if you will. I'm just kidding, there isn't really a holy grail. If you happen to just put out good content, that'll 99% do the job. Okay, so the following word is really important. So just write this down, or just take a mental note of it, or just rewatch this video. In fact, it'll actually help with the algorithm for the video itself. You want to ensure that you're being multi-dimensional via your posting when it comes to social media. Let me explain. Let's take a new business who's just started, you know, their platform, their presence on social media, and they're sick to Instagram. You know, take a week of creating content, and finally, when they're actually done, they're ready to post their very first photo on Instagram, or whatever it actually might be. They post the photo, and that's basically it. That's all it is, and they'll start slowly growing from there. Now, let me show you another example of the exact same business doing something slightly different. They've taken the exact week to create this content, this piece of material that they want to put up on their social media, and they post a photo, but this time they also post that photo on LinkedIn. They post the same photo on Facebook. They maybe put an Insta story on their Snapchat feed. They even put a WhatsApp story on their WhatsApp feed. Not that I think that is a thing, but I think it is. They might create a YouTube video just talking about what this piece of content is. They might go on their personal Instagram page and talk about, oh, by the way, guys, I've just released this photo or this content on my business page, check it out. They might write a blog post about it because maybe they're incredibly strong writers. The point that I'm trying to get around, which I hope you realize, is being multidimensional allows you to create a piece of content and spread it across different profiles, different social media platforms. Everyone that I see when they first start are basically one-dimensional, which means that they'll create content and they'll just post it on Instagram. Now, you know, it's obviously really hard to manage a lot of these things all at once, but once you get in the routine and rhythm of it, it's really easy. Let's talk about TikTok. TikTok is so incredibly undervalued. There is a lot of organic engagement there. How awesome would it be if you created, you know, a photo behind the scenes of the post that you just had on Instagram on TikTok, showing people the BTS, if you will, of that entire process happening. Instagram Reels, I mean, you don't just have to post a photo to Instagram anymore. Now you can talk about Instagram Reels and have this, you know, face-to-face connection and then put that up on there as well. Don't just stick to the one application. I feel like a large part of businesses just do that because it's comfortable. It's what they think will help them to grow. And the truth is that yes, there was a time in which you could probably do that, but not anymore. The social media platform is really changing, and it's about being adaptive to the market in terms of how it is that audience like to consume content. By thinking that 90% of your audience is just on Instagram alone, you're already losing, because they're not 90% of your audience. They're probably a fraction of the entire market. Now, yes, Instagram is huge, and that's the focus on today's topic, but LinkedIn is just as good. In fact, LinkedIn was like the Facebook, the organic Facebook. We're talking about, you know, when Facebook first launched years ago. I think it's so incredibly undervalued, and Gary Vee talks about it so much, about posting just free content on LinkedIn, which has amazing organic reach. So next time you have a bit of content that you're going to post, don't just put it on Instagram, put it everywhere, because you're never going to realize who actually sees it until they're on, you know, Snapchat, or until they're on WhatsApp, or until they're on TikTok, or Instagram Reels, or YouTube, or LinkedIn, or Pinterest even. Anything that has an audience, someone could be there. Another tip that has really helped me is switching up my focus from content creating to documenting. At its core, documenting your brand's content involves sharing the day-to-day life of yourself or your business with your viewers. Now, this could be done through any means when it comes to, say, talking to the camera like I am, putting up an Insta story, writing a blog, creating a TikTok video that just shows a candid, raw self of who you are. You know, a large part of the pandemic means that I can't currently go out and create content around photo shoots, weddings. It's not possible anymore. So I've switched up, you know, my content creation style more than just creating content, it's about documenting the entire process. The reasons why I've done that is because it allows my audience to see a different side of me, right? This raw, candid side, if you will. A side where people can go, oh, okay, cool. Well, this is the person behind KS Creative Photography. This is the guy that potentially I could get to hire for my wedding. And there is just so much relatability that happens through that. There is an element of vulnerability as well that, you know, people love to see. People sometimes don't want to see the perfect, glamorized, you know, filtered self that everyone appears to be on Instagram. It's about being a real, honest, true self, and that's kind of what I aspire to be like. I totally used to be, you know, really about, you know, the premium content, the 100%, like, you know, this is the great photo that I should post and everyone should know the brand for what this is, and that's okay for a specific element. I found that, you know, a large part of my audience has connected with me a lot more because I've started talking to the camera, or because I've, you know, started posting all these tips, and I'm now educating more versus content creating, right? Or I'm now documenting my life or day-to-day updates. I'm posting, you know, what it is that the brand's doing week in and week out, and I'm showing a different side. And then in hindsight, when you look at all this creative content that one's put out, it's now a journey that takes the viewer on from, it was just some guy who posted videos in his room and now he's killing it. And you know, it shows a lot more than just whatever it is I'm talking about. And so the reason as to why I think documenting is so important is because, you know, businesses can adopt this and really show a different side of who they are and what they do and what they even stand for, without the traditional aspect of going, oh, well, here's a photo that I've posted from a wedding that I've captured, if you're a wedding photographer, or here's a makeup look, or here's a clothing piece that I designed and took a photo and put it on a campaign. Documenting this journey is far more valuable than just creating content around one piece of collateral that will only be live and that'll only have a shelf life really for about 1 to 2 days if it's on Instagram. So just be aware enough to try and engage a little bit more on the documenting side and show more of who you really are, and try and engage your audience in a different sides that shows a more personal you. Now, my final thoughts on this particular topic when it comes to, you know, following and social media, this kind of almost ties it all in. You know, following, engagement, having an audience, that's just one thing. That's honestly just one thing. The other part is actually being passionate about the why. Like the why behind what you do, right? The reasons as to why you turn this camera on, why you take that photo, why you do that makeup look, why you create that piece of clothing, why you're a singer, or why you're a painter or a dancer. It doesn't really matter what it is. Why are you doing this in the first place? You know, it's not to do with how many followers you can get. And if that's your motive, then you may as well give up now, because it's probably never going to work. All I'm saying is that I've been in that situation before, and I've recently almost dipped there again. And I had to just reset my mind frame to go, what am I really doing this for? Like, why do I care about the numbers in the first place? So I don't want this to be an ironic video. I still want these tips to really help, but I want you to understand that it's not the be all and end all, right? Numbers don't determine the success factor of your business. However, there is an element that does help with conversion, as I've already explained. So be prepared to just really grind it out. Sometimes these things could be a lot easier for certain people, and it might just happen a lot faster. Like, I know people who have started before me and who have, you know, overtook me as far as numbers goes, but at the same time, I really just don't care. I just have tunnel vision to what else goes outside around me, and I don't think that, you know, anyone who does that is more successful than me or not. So, you know, try not to focus too much on that, and be okay with the fact that sometimes I might get squat all for engagement, or sometimes I might be doing really well, but at the end of every day, I will still continue to rock up. So that's it, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, press that like button, comment down below, let me know what tips you guys really liked from this video, or if there are other tips that I may have missed, comment down below, let me know what they could be. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you lovely kids in the very next video. Peace.